On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Greatness, they like it, especially a man that finds his purpose in his life. A man that sets his system, order, and structure, right? He knows what he wants and how he's going to attempt to get it. His foresight is intact, right? So all that she's doing is assisting him at every level of that, whether it's a low level going to high level. If he keeps rising, her hypergamy is then satisfied, because it's like, okay, we started out in a 2-bedroom apartment, but 5 years later, because I was assisting him with his purpose and he reached some of his goals, now we're in a 4-bedroom house. That's hypergamy. That satisfies her hypergamy for material things. But if he also becomes a better person internally, it satisfies her hypergamy for a better man or a different man, if that makes sense. Did I answer your question?
I think it was responsible for him to do that, to say, you know, this is like a unique thing that we're doing. But still, at the end of the day, like, I can't forget that they're actors and they've been in the public eye for decades. And I'm not just going to be believing that every single thing they say and do is just completely transparent. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Huh?
You can see how unhappy he is. Did you see him when they were having that conversation? Like, his face.
He's an actor. He's a very good actor. I just don't know.
But if I can sort of interject just on marriage, even not talking necessarily about Will and Jada, and the whole concept of changes and all of that sort of thing. I think what happens today is we value certain things and we don't value other things. A lot of people value things like wealth, the amount of leisure time they can have, education, or can we take trips, or these sorts of things. And a lot of times people get married based on how they evaluated that person according to material items or external things that are connected to that person. But rarely do they get married to a person based on that person's spiritual makeup, based on that person's internal value, just valuing that person, whether they had those external things or not. And a lot of people do not get married based on the internals of each other. They don't have the conversations that they need to have. We got people birthing kids into the world for people they don't even know and have not had a good hour conversation with, of just, we gonna talk for an hour and it ain't got nothing to do with sex or nothing like that. We just gonna talk for an hour to see who you are, but I'm gonna replicate you in my room and I don't know you. Like, it's those types of things that we're doing because, you know, we got women replicating men in their womb because he got money. She don't know what kind of man he is, and she don't care what kind of man he is on the inside, whether he's a good man, a bad man, or whatever kind of man. And a lot of times we enter into these relationships, like I said, dishonestly. We're not even honest with ourselves about why we enter into this relationship with this person, because we getting into them for the external things. And when those external things change, when those conditions change, we ready to chuck the deuces and tell people, you know what I'm saying, I'm out because these circumstances change. But it's more important to get into the relationship because of valuing that person. Because, for instance, a man who has a mission in his life is very rarely, if ever, going to change that mission because he sees it as his purpose. That is now his purpose in life. So whatever other conditions come along with that, he's gonna try to keep going in that same direction with that same purpose. If you want to be that man's wife, then you have to decide, are you gonna be his wife because you think that if he reaches his goal, he's going to have all of these external or material things that you like, so you get with him because of his potential, and let's say he don't reach that potential, now you mad? Or are you getting with this man because you agree with his purpose in life and you are going to make his purpose your purpose? So if you make his purpose your purpose and he stay on that purpose, doesn't matter what kind of circumstances and conditions come along with that, you're going to stick right there because you didn't marry him for the potential of his money, and you didn't marry him because you thought he was going to be in the NBA or whatever the case may be. You're with him because you value that man for who he is on the inside, period, point blank.
Crimson, I have a question for you. Going
Sure.
to piggyback on what you said, because I definitely agree with you. But being that, and we've said this before, women being hypergamous, and a lot of women get with men because of that, because, oh, he can provide for me and what he has. And if that's in a lot of our nature to be hypergamous, do you see an issue with that, or what's wrong with that? Oh, maybe I said.
There's nothing wrong with hypergamy, but we have to sort of understand hypergamy in more than one dimension. Mm-hmm. Women are not just hypergamous based on finances. Just like a man's provision is not just his finances. See, a man's provision is not just material. He's providing his masculine light to her. Mm-hmm. Right? So in order to satisfy her hypergamy with the same man, all that she does is help him. She pushes him. She pushes him to a higher state of himself. This is why she's helping him to meet his goal. Because not only does it help him meet the goal and the purpose of his life, it satisfies her hypergamy because he keeps improving. So therefore, she keeps getting a better version of a man. Only difference is she's not going outside of that relationship to get a different man. She's just getting the better version of that man over and over and over again. He's reinventing over and over and over again. So if he keeps doing that, which men are driven to keep pursuing anyway, right? They like pursuing their purposes. They like pursuing greatness. They like it, especially a man that finds his purpose in his life, a man that sets his system, order, and structure, right? He knows what he wants and how he's going to attempt to get it. His foresight is intact, right? So all that she's doing is assisting him at every level of that, whether it's a low level going to a high level. If he keeps rising, her hypergamy is then satisfied because it's like, okay, we started out in a 2-bedroom apartment, but 5 years later, because I was assisting him with his purpose and he reached some of his goals, now we're in a 4-bedroom house. That's hypergamy. That satisfies her hypergamy for material things. But if he also becomes a better person internally, it satisfies her hypergamy for a better man or a different man, if that makes sense. Did I answer your question?